Hello, my friends, welcome to a story of hate and greed. Once upon a time, in the heart of an enchanted forest, there was a kingdom invisible to human eyes. This was the realm of the fairies, ruled by a king named Elwyn. Elwyn was a mighty and wise ruler, but he harbored a deep hatred for humans. To him, humans were destructive and greedy, always encroaching on his magical domain, cutting down ancient trees, and polluting the rivers with their filth. Elwyn's hatred grew with each passing year, fueled by stories of human wars and deforestation. He often flew over the borders of his kingdom, casting spells to repel any human who ventured too close. Despite his efforts, the humans continued to advance, and Elwyn grew desperate to protect his people and their land. One day, as Elwyn brooded in his crystal palace, an ancient fairy named Eloan appeared before him. Eloan was the oldest and wisest of the fairies, her knowledge spanning millennia. "Elwyn," she said, her voice soft yet commanding, "your hatred for humans blinds you. There is only one way to truly understand and protect our kingdom." "And what is that?" Elwyn snapped. "I will not reason with those barbarians." "You must become one of them," Eloan replied. "Only by walking in their shoes will you learn how to keep them at bay." Elwyn recoiled at the suggestion. The very thought of becoming a human repulsed him. But Eloan's eyes were filled with a knowing wisdom that he could not ignore. Reluctantly, he agreed, and Eloan cast a powerful spell that transformed the fairy king into a human. Elwyn awoke in a dense forest, feeling heavy and clumsy. Gone were his delicate wings and ethereal beauty. He now had rough, calloused hands and stood much taller than before. He stumbled through the forest until he came upon a human village, where he was met with curious stares. The villagers, unaware of his true identity, took him in. They clothed him and offered him food. As Elwyn spent time among them, he saw their struggles and joys, their capacity for both cruelty and kindness. He witnessed a young boy rescuing a bird with a broken wing, a woman tending to her sick mother, and a group of men chopping down a tree, oblivious to the damage they were causing. Elwyn's heart began to change. He saw that humans were not purely evil, they were simply ignorant of the magic and beauty they were destroying. He realized that they needed guidance, not hostility. One evening, as the village gathered for a festival, Elwyn stood before them and spoke. He told them of the fairies and the magic of the forest, of the delicate balance that was being threatened by their actions. He urged them to tread lightly, to cherish the land as the fairies did. The villagers listened intently, moved by his words. They had never considered the consequences of their actions and were inspired to change. They vowed to protect the forest and live in harmony with nature. But not all humans were willing to listen. A group of hunters, hardened by years of conquest and greed, saw Elwyn's transformation as a threat. They believed he was a demon, come to deceive them and take their land. Fueled by fear and anger, they conspired against him. Late one night, as Elwyn slept in a small cottage at the edge of the village, the hunters attacked. They set the cottage ablaze and captured Elwyn as he tried to escape the flames. Bound and beaten, he was dragged before the village. "Behold the monster in our midst," the hunters cried. "He seeks to enslave us with his magic." The villagers, frightened and confused, turned against Elwyn. His pleas fell on deaf ears as the hunters' lies took root in their hearts. In a final act of cruelty, the hunters executed Elwyn, severing his human body from the fairy spirit within. As Elwyn's life ebbed away, the forest responded to the death of its king. The trees wept with sap, the rivers ran dark, and the skies filled with a mournful silence. The fairies, sensing the loss of their king, withdrew deeper into the forest, their light dimming in grief. Without Elwyn's protection, the forest fell into decay. The humans, driven by greed and fear, continued to destroy the land, unaware of the magic they were extinguishing. The balance was lost, and the once thriving realm of the fairies became a desolate wasteland. In the end, Elwyn's sacrifice was in vain. His attempt to bridge the gap between humans and fairies only deepened the chasm. The enchanted forest became a place of sorrow and shadows, a haunting reminder of what was lost. And so, the fairy king who sought to protect his kingdom met a tragic end, his dreams of unity shattered by the very hatred he sought to overcome. The legend of Elwyn became a cautionary tale, whispered by the few remaining fairies as they hid in the darkest corners of the forest, mourning their fallen king in the shattered world he left behind.